Welcome to the Power of Owning Your Career podcast, the show for women who are seeking more fulfillment in life and simply not getting it from their current situation. We focus specifically on careers, but hey, we spend a lot of time in our careers, so making changes here will definitely create an impact in your overall happiness. I'm your host, Simone Morris, and my mission is to empower women to succeed. I believe that in order to powerfully own your career, you must decide and claim that you want to sit in the driver's seat. You must know that you deserve better and be willing to not only do the requisite work, but be willing to go out on a limb to ensure your success. Each episode focuses on profiling a leader who is clearly demonstrating ownership of their career. Join me and my guests as we explore career journeys and bring you actionable strategies to use to get into the driver's seat for your career. Because ultimately, your career is your responsibility. Let's get into the show.
Former national wedding sales manager Elaine Rau lost her brother-in-law, her job, and her home all in 1 week. Stuck in a developing country with no job opportunities, she had to learn how to make an income online. So she spent the last bit of her savings, $12.18, she says, and invested in a blog domain, LadyBossBlogger.com. Since its conception, LadyBoss Blogger has garnered a massive audience of 150,000 followers in under 2 years. It's a platform that helps female entrepreneurs learn how to start, grow, and scale their online businesses and blogs. I am pleased to interview today Elaine Rau, CEO and founder of LadyBoss Blogger. Elaine, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. This is awesome.
I'm excited. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and your career journey?
I started actually out in the wedding industry. I thought that would be my career path. I loved it. I, basically worked my butt off to be the national wedding sales manager. And it all came crashing down one day when basically my fiance from overseas called me and told me that his brother had just been murdered. So I told my boss and I asked him if I could go see him, and he said no. So I basically quit, moved overseas, and had to reinvent myself and restart my own career, in a developing country, Honduras, after I had built, or I thought I had built something for myself in the States. So that was my journey.
Wow, that's quite a story. How long were you in Honduras? Is that where you're based now, or?
No, we've moved back to the States since, but we lived there for a year.
Okay. So were you doing your business in Honduras?
Yes, that's when it all started. Okay. I mean, I had no idea what I was doing when I started out. Honestly, I just wanted to learn how to become a female entrepreneur. So that's why I named my blog LadyBoss Blogger, because I wanted to become a lady boss and I wanted to become a blogger. So I started interviewing women on my blog to learn how other people did it as well in all different industries, and to see what correlated among all of them, to see what worked, what's successful, and so on and so forth.
Tell us a little bit about your brand first so that we can have some context. Tell us.
Oh, yes. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
LadyBoss Blogger it started out as just being a platform where, I highlighted female entrepreneurs from all over the world, talked about, their stories, their successes, their failures, their advice, what they're, struggling with, as well as, how to contact them. So it was basically a platform to almost like change the landscape of media. Because I feel like oftentimes the media, there's always, there's the celebrities, there's the news stories, etc. But the everyday average woman who is working hard on doing her own thing is not necessarily in the spotlight. So that's what I really wanted to portray. And so that's why I started that. In addition to that, I feel like when I started it, there wasn't a lot of platforms out there that featured female entrepreneurs at the time. So I had a really hard time finding woman that I wanted to talk to. So that's why I also created the platform. And then it has since then morphed into a platform where I teach bloggers how to make a income online. And now it's developed into influencers and how influencers can make money online as well. And I feel it all became like, honestly, I didn't want to be a blogger who blogged about blogging, but it just so happened I built a platform, and within 2 years, under 2 years, I had 150,000 followers, and it just like blew up. So a lot of people were asking me, like on the daily, like, how did you start your blog? What did you do? How did you gain these followers? Blah, blah, blah. And so that's kind of how it morphed into, me teaching courses on how to do it, as well as how other people can start their own online business, just like I did with absolutely nothing. It cost me $12.18 to start the blog, and it just escalated from there.
Looking back, would you look into your career journey and see what prepared you to be able to scale your business in the way that you have scaled it?
Yeah, I think working 100% commission jobs was definitely a huge factor without even realizing. I never wanted to be my own boss. I never wanted to, I didn't even know entrepreneurship was a thing until like 2 years ago. So I feel like working 100% commission jobs gave me the skill set to know that everything you do, you have to like earn. And nothing's going to be, given to you. It's not an hourly wage or anything like that. You have to work. So I feel like that's definitely what drove me to succeeding as an entrepreneur.
And I would say you are definitely succeeding. Can you think of a defining moment that signified that you were in the driver's seat?
I think when I got my first intern, I was like, whoa, this is, people are actually, really loving the brand and my mission and wanting to, get behind me on this. All of a sudden, I realized that I was a leader and I was somebody who was making waves, and that other people wanted to tag along the journey with. So I actually hired my first intern literally probably a few weeks after I started. And I've had so many interns since then. It's been amazing.
Do you have full-time employees or mostly interns to run your business?
They're all interns because for me, how I learned everything myself from internships as well. So honestly, before when I was in the wedding industry, I actually worked for a blogger part-time. It was just an internship. It wasn't paid or anything, as a stress reliever because I was the sales manager. So it was always numbers. It was always bringing in the sales and stuff like that. But I wanted a creative outlet. So I reached out to this girl online, and she had this online magazine, and I basically went to events for her and covered events and blogged about the different food, restaurants, medical spas, etc. around Chicago, and it was awesome. And so that's actually a reason that I started the blog, was because I related blogging to this feeling of immense creative control as well as creative outlet. So as well as the feeling that I got from blogging, it was just incredible. So that's why, I really believe with everything that you do, if you do an internship first, you can actually see if you actually like that and then continue from there.
What would you say the formula for successfully owning your career is?
I would say constantly discovering what makes you tick, in the sense of, if something's working, keep doing it. If it keeps on driving you, it makes you motivated, it, helps you, it gives you purpose, then continue it. But once that starts dipping, I would say seek out other things that make you tick, because I feel like throughout your career journey, there's going to be waves, right? If you get married, if you have kids, when certain things happen, your priorities change. And so you need to constantly be looking for that next step, in your career as your life changes around.
We talked about the formula. Can you talk to us about risk-taking and how that has impacted your journey?
Well, just quitting, a stable job that was really well paid to go to a developing country with nothing lined up was, a huge risk in and of itself. Well, honestly, I didn't have to move down there. I didn't have to uproot, but I just thought that I could not see myself working there another day, and I could not bear to not be with family in such a crucial time. So I think it's good to have calculated risks, but if push comes to shove and you're forced in a situation, if you feel uncomfortable, like, you got to get out of there, and you have to take that risk no matter how uncomfortable it might be. Because for me, whenever I've gone out of my comfort zone, I've always learned something new. It's always a different perspective. You get more empathy, you get more experiences, and then you build on top of that, and it's incredible where it will take you. You have to be constantly changing because in the world of blogging or social media, it's constantly changing. So you have to be constantly changing. So what may have worked last year is not necessarily the best way to work this year. Like when I started, I was doing interviews and it was paid interviews, but then I was basically giving my time to like my hours were being documented in a sense because I was trading time for dollars. So then I decided I was like, in order to scale, I need to create a product so I can sell over and over again. And that's how I got into online courses so that I can sell as much as possible without necessarily trading my time for each piece that, gets promoted or goes up. So as your business grows, you grow with it. You work smarter, you work faster, you work differently according to your different priorities.
Can you think of a moment in your career that you avoided responsibility? And what I mean by that is just not being hands-on in terms of the outcome of your career.
I would say last year I was on a business call with a mentor. Like it was a friend. Like it was a friend of a friend of somebody, and he was. So, anyways, I was on this call with him, and after I told him all my plans and all these things I wanted to do in the new year, he basically completely shot me down, and he was like, he basically says, "So what? Who cares? What are all these ideas that you're doing if it's not for the betterment of the world?" And I was like completely taken aback. Like, wait, I thought I was helping the world. I thought I was helping female entrepreneurs. But what he meant by that was like, outside of your family, outside of your friends, outside of your circle, your realm, like how is your business impacting the world? That's what actually matters. And so I started thinking about that. And basically that was the night that I dedicated my business to serving the charity called the Micah Project. So let me give you some background. The Micah Project is a home for street boys. Why is this charity so close to my heart? It's because my husband was actually one of these boys when he was growing up. So this charity took him in when he was just a teen, basically gave him education, home, all that stuff. And then when I moved down to Honduras, we couldn't find a place to stay. And so we actually stayed at the Micah house for a couple months until we found a safe place to stay. So that's where actually it was like on the Micah house campus that the blog was founded. So it kind of like, full circle, like them giving back, or helping raise my husband basically. And now, I have the opportunity to give back to them. So wait, what was the question again?
No, but I know the question, but I'm now very interested in the Micah Project and wanting to hear what you do as a company for that. I think the question we started out with was around avoiding responsibility for the outcome.
Oh, right.
And so
completely off topic here.
No, but it's very interesting and a wonderful story. I want to know what you committed to doing and what you do with your business for the Micah Project.
We give monthly donations. So every single blog post that we post is sponsored post, and a portion of the proceeds goes directly to Micah.
Wonderful. I love that. So you are equating that to feeling some sort of social responsibility in your career in terms of giving back. You've done this and like you said, it's full circle how it impacted your family. I love that. Well, what advice would you give to someone wanting to own their career?
I 100%, I don't care how old you are, how young you are, I recommend internships. I think that it is the number one way to find out if something is actually truly it's truly a passion of yours or truly something that you could see yourself doing. So before you get into, potentially figuring out yourself, if you intern for somebody who's there already, not only are they going to become a mentor to you, they're also going to become somebody who might promote you. So like when I started my blog, the girl I used to work for, she was like promoting me like crazy. And she was like, oh, check out, my previous intern. She's rocking it now, stuff like that. So I would highly recommend internships 100%. And doing 2 or 3 at the same time too, to discover what you truly like, I think is a good idea.
You think there's any stigma around being an intern?
There's only a stigma if there's a stigma in your mind. I really don't think so.
I love what you said, no matter how young or old you are. And I'm just thinking about being a person that's older, what might hold me back from doing an internship?
Think of it as a volunteer. You're volunteering your time to help someone else in accomplishing their goals as you learn about your goals.
I love that. That's awesome. So you said your business is running on interns, so to speak.
It is. I'm a strong believer.
And successfully, right? So where would a person find interns?
You can register on handshake.com. You can go to colleges and recruit them personally. How I actually got my very first intern was, I don't know, I was giving some talk at some place. I forgot what it was. Anyways, it was all word of mouth. And so that's how I got my first. And then the second wave of interns I got, it was actually my previous summer interns. They were incredible. Was I actually spoke at a college and I pitched it to the audience. I was like, if you're looking for an internship, and then boom, I had like a dozen applications.
Wow.
So talk to, schedule talks at colleges and do it at the right time though. Like, when semester's ending or times when they're actually, free of mind.
That's awesome. That's really awesome advice. Can we go back to the question around your career journey? Because I kind of felt like we said, I know it's not that easy where you went from wedding planner, right, to blogger.
The thing is, I am a certified wedding planner, but I did like everything wedding. So not only, I've sold wedding dresses, I've sold wedding venues, I've sold basically, but sales of everything wedding.
Okay. So, before you got there, where were you?
That's basically what I did before anything else.
Okay, so you went from that field to entrepreneurship and stayed in entrepreneurship.
Yes.
And what education prepared you? I know you talked about 100% commission before. What education prepared you to stay in the entrepreneur game? Because, it can be so difficult, and oftentimes some of us may look back to corporate or to a job to say, let's go back to that. But you've stayed in it and are successful. You have 150,000 people following you and a successful brand.
I've never dreamed of going back. I think that would be absolute hell. I think, and perhaps that's because my mindset is like that. That's why I've tried so hard to not have to, I guess, quote unquote, fall back. I think it wasn't even in my mind to go back, or that was never a backup plan. It was just succeed.
Just make this work.
Right, exactly. And I think like it was an indefinite time that we were in Honduras too. So I had no idea when, we would potentially move back to the States, because it was all dependent upon my husband's visa. So we had no clue. So I had to make the circumstance and situation work for what it is. And I think honestly, like a lot of people are surprised that I actually graduated with a art degree. I was actually ceramics. I studied ceramics, yes. And I think honestly, being an artist and being a creator has really helped me in entrepreneurship, because I feel like that's a big element of entrepreneurship that people neglect or forget to mention, perhaps, is that you have to constantly be creating in your mind. Like the next, even if it's like creating a sales funnel or something, you have to be creative in that sense to try new things and see if it works. So I think honestly, having an art degree really helped me. And also, I don't know if you know, but like actually a lot of successful bloggers have their background in graphic design. Top bloggers, probably 70% are graphic design background. So you can see how important it is to have that creative element in website design or in portraying, a certain type of brand, because I think honestly, it's my branding that has really made me stand out, and my consistency in that branding that has separated me from the pack.
And I love how you invest in yourself, because I remember reading on your, I hope I'm not misspeaking, that you were going to do, was it Damon John's program?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so you're investing in your education and growth, and I'm sure you've done many other things. So education is probably a big component of your success as well.
Definitely. I'm always taking online courses, attending webinars and different things according to not just random. There has to be a strategy behind it. I feel a lot of times people take a lot of, and I used to do this, we just, sign up for a bunch and then you maybe attend half and then you're overwhelmed. But to actually have a strategy of what exactly do I want to learn? What do I want the outcome to be? And these are the specific webinars that I need to attend. You know what I mean? So like having a goal in mind of what you want to get out of it.
Absolutely. Can you recommend resources or online tools for managing your career?
The very first thing I ever invested in my business was actually a social media automation software. And I think that really took me hands off of my social media and just made it run on autopilot, and which has really grown my following basically, on autopilot. I would recommend you can go to ladybossblogger.com/smarterq. It's like smarter as in smart, and then Q as in like, a Q, like QUEUE. And then that's the software that I've been using for a few years now. And it's incredible. I haven't honestly touched it, I think in a year, but like, it looks like I'm online all the time, but I'm not.
That's wonderful, because that certainly can take up so much time.
Yes. And there's a lot of social media schedulers out there. What makes this one different? Or it doesn't have to be this one, but like what makes a good scheduler is one that recycles your content. So I have it scheduled up to be, it recycles my content every 90 days. So oftentimes, you schedule stuff, and then, once all your posts are scheduled out, you're back at square one, and you have to reschedule things and keep things fresh. So this basically just regurgitates 90 days worth of content, every 3 months, and, publishes it out to my platforms. Obviously, there's a few things that you can do this on Twitter, you can do this on Facebook, LinkedIn. What you can't do, I wouldn't recommend it to do it on Instagram. But also for Instagram, I use Planoly, Planoly, to, visually plan my feed, and every single post is different. But you just be smart about the platforms that you use it on, but to definitely use it.
That's great. I think that I'm going to go and look up the a smarter Q for mine, because I think I've used Later or some other Hootsuite and many different tools. So thank you for that. I really appreciate that. So tell our listeners how they can connect with you.
I'm everywhere at LadyBoss Blogger. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or there's also I have my personal brand as well, which is Elaine Rau, ELAINERAU. That's on Instagram, that's on Facebook, Pinterest, different things like that. But if you just go to ladybossblogger.com, I have all my handles on there too, so you can connect with me there. As well as if you're looking for internships, you can click on career and you can check that out.
That's great. I was going to ask that question, so thank you for putting that plug out there. I do want to ask a parting question. Did you intentionally separate your personal brand from the LadyBoss Blogger brand? Tell us why you did that.
Well, I always think that it's good to have two brands. Your personal brand is good because it can morph into different things as you grow and, go along. But your brand, I think is better if it's not 100% connected to you. So that for LadyBoss Blogger, a lot of people post on LadyBoss Blogger. It's a publishing platform. So it's not necessarily like, yes, I am behind the brand, but people don't expect me to show up all the time. To have a brand like your personal brand, people are always expecting a lot from you, and you can't just go away for, a few months at a time and disappear. You know what I mean? So it's something that is quite exhausting, at least for me, to have a personal brand like that. But also I think it's good to separate them just, if your business morphs, with LadyBoss Blogger, I'm starting this influencer platform. And while LadyBoss Blogger is a good place to start it with, I'm starting to navigate my influencer stuff to Elaine Rau. So I blog about blogging and entrepreneurship on LadyBoss Blogger, and then I blog about influencer stuff on elainrau.com.
Oh, very smart. Okay, very smart.
Yes, and another reason for that is why you should do that is because, with Google search, search engine optimization and stuff like that, Google crawls your website, right? And they want to show the most relevant, the best content out there. However, if you have 5 different topics, you're never going to rank number 1 because you're not niche enough. Therefore, you're not considered an expert in any specific topic. Therefore, you're not considered an expert at all, according to Google's eyes. So if you separate out the two and focus on one topic or one general topic, you're much more likely to get found organically on Google as well as on social media too.
Very smart, very strategic. And I would say these are strategic boss moves. I love it. I love it. Thank you for allowing that final question. It just piqued my curiosity when you said you separated the brands. So want to wish you much success, continued success with what you're doing. I am a fan and will continue to be a fan, even not just because my middle name is Elaine as well.
Oh my gosh. Literally everyone's middle name is Elaine. I've heard that so many times.
That's because it's a wonderful first and middle name. So.
Yes.
So thank you so much for being a part of the podcast. I am very appreciative.
And thank you for having me on the show. This is awesome.
Thank you for listening to the Power of Owning Your Career podcast. Check out the show notes for today's episode on the SimoneMorris.com website, where you can find links to everything that was mentioned today. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and tell a friend or two about it.